to the day of Snowmageddon. If you're listening on, hopefully when we upload this.
Yes.
The destructive ice, which, okay, so did you see the thing about exploding trees?
No.
So
Is that satire?
No.
Oh, it's real.
Yeah, this is a real thing. I saw it on the gram.
Okay.
Apparently it can get so cold that trees explode.
You know what? I try to look at like the demographics and like the locations of who listens to this podcast.
Yeah.
I hope if you're anywhere out of the South that you're just laughing right now. I really do hope so. Because like, yes, it is like ice is a big threat and absolutely we need to all stay safe. But sometimes it's just like, we are very sophisticated as human beings, but wow, we're not at all.
Well, I was just thinking when I saw it, I was like, I've heard of, and this is just showing my room, I've heard of exploding roadkill.
Oh my gosh. I have so many questions when we're done recording.
But I've never heard of exploding trees. And I know you probably can't tell from my accent, but I am actually a Michigander.
Have you seen exploding roadkill before?
I have not. I've seen the aftermath of an exploded roadkill.
Okay.
I've never seen an active exploding.
No further questions.
Yes.
Oh my.
But I saw that and I was like, wow. Could you imagine just walking by a tree and it's like poof?
Honestly, it would
be on a Monday.
Yes, it would be one of those experiences where I would be like, is this happening? Am I in an alternate dimension? Like, what's going on?
Dreaming.
But anyway, if you're listening to this, please like stay safe, stay warm.
Mm-hmm.
Do whatever you need to do to satisfy your basic needs if you can.
Yeah. And drop in the comments an over under on it if you think it's actually gonna snow.
Right.
I'm a no snow.
I
don't think
we're actually in different threat zones, I think, because I'm a little bit more north.
Mm-hmm.
Ours doesn't even snow, it's just ice.
Yeah.
Sad.
Yeah.
I was wondering today if I need to like treat our driveway so the dogs can go potty.
Oh no, Hank's gonna be slipping and sliding.
No.
Mia, could you imagine Mia trying to figure out how to walk on ice?
She's too much of a queen.
Yeah.
Well, welcome back to Couch Combos, where we mince our words and we talk about exploding trees.
Woohoo! It's gonna be a fun one today.
It is. But before we launch into our topic for today, we did want to highlight something that was really big that happened in the counseling community with this week. A fellow counselor in Florida was tragically murdered by one of her former clients this week. And her name was Rebecca White, and she's a really skilled therapist down in Florida, outside of Orlando. And it was just a horrible act of violence that has unfortunately taken her life and also critically injured one of the clients she was actively seeing at the time. It's sparked a lot of discussion in the field this week about our roles as therapists and how like we're around people at their most vulnerable, but often how therapists aren't protected either. So if this event really impacts you, whether in terms of evaluating your own safety or just kind of checking in with your own mortality and morality, just kind of take care of yourselves. So we did want to pay respect to her this week.
Yeah. And let's have some conversations about it. Like, I think, we've had brief conversations about our own safety of, how can we manage? Let's only, see people at a certain time in person, or let's make sure when we are with, the opposite sex or gender that maybe someone else is present. But it's brought up more conversations for like us specifically because, we are two women, and though we are, very strong and capable.
I also lie on my license when I say I'm 5'4". I'm not 5'4".
Right. And though I'm almost 6 foot, the arms are not that strong. I'm not sure I could fight off anyone.
We work hard at the gym.
Yeah. But, there's some biological factors that are coming into play here that we can't ignore. And so we've had to have good conversations around like, what does that look like? And even with spouses, partners, of like, I brought it up with Kyle and he was like, yo.
I don't know about you, but I have had loved ones offer concerns about my safety far before this even happened.
Yeah.
And it was interesting. There's a social media platform. It's called Therapist to Therapists online. I really love it. It's really all about like pouring into yourself as a therapist so that you can be the best clinician you can for your clients. and they put out a really good carousel on Instagram this week, and it actually highlighted violence towards therapists and how it's just not talked about.
Yeah.
And that they honored therapists who had lost their lives at work, and there were at least a dozen names from the last 2 years. It really just makes you check in with yourself again.
Yeah.
It was a very harrowing moment for sure.
Right. And so when we think about our safety, there's so many times that I said, oh, I should have done this. I should have done that. I should have been prepared. Thanks, I was working that as you were talking. But that goes into what we're talking about today, which is shoulds. And in the words of Mariah, who's an amazing therapist who is working outside of North Carolina. She does virtual. She also sees in Florida and Georgia. She's got 3 licenses in 3 states.
Impressive.
I know, right? She's a go-getter. But in the words of her, stop shoulding yourself.
I love that. I know we've talked around the shoulds in probably most of our episodes. So it really just seemed fitting that we just need to have one, or we should just have one.
Yeah.
Stand alone.
Right. So when we talk about the shoulds,
they're everywhere.
Yes. And it's a cognitive distortion, you guys. Specific is the should statements. But noticing it in the therapy space of what that looks like. We're going to talk a little bit about that, as well as our own shoulds, because I know I catch myself doing it all the time.
It's honestly one of those universals that we have.
Yeah.
A lot like talked about last time is comparison, or even minimizing and catastrophizing, or anxiety. I think the shoulds are honestly one of the most universal thoughts that people can have.
For sure.
Sad.
Yeah.
I know in therapy I've noticed a lot with I should be doing more, I should want this, I should be over it by now is a big one that I hear. And it just it feels contagious sometimes.
Yeah.
It just kind of feels icky.
And it's just so natural to say it. And we don't even realize we've said it until later. And I was actually working with a client recently, and they're like, I never realized how often I say it, but then how often other people say it.
Yes.
And it's yeah, of course, because it's just a natural thing we say in our vocabulary because it makes us, quote unquote, more productive or better, or constantly striving to perfect ourselves and all the things.
And I feel like now in casual conversation, it's seen as a neutral based word. Yeah. Should is one of the least neutral words I've ever seen. It honestly does feel like a wolf in sheep's clothing in terms of a word and what it means. But it's just funny that we throw it out like it's nothing, but it has a very heavy weight, even subconsciously too.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about the self-attack. Okay. So what's a should that you catch yourself saying? And then also, what are some shoulds that you've noticed a lot in the room?
In the room, I think recently it's been, I know I mentioned it before, is I should feel better, or I should be over it. I think especially with my trauma clients and a lot of our trauma focused work, it's a lot of well, I should be over this. And shouldn't I be in a different place? I see that a lot, especially with my trauma people. But I think personally, it's funny. It's very contradictory. I have a lot of, I should be doing less and I should be doing more all the time. It's I should do less. I should take a break. Or, well, I should do more because I'm not doing enough.
Dude, the reason I'm laughing right now is I literally have it written down. The exact 2 ones of personally and professionally. It's I should be doing more, or maybe I should take this time to just do nothing. But then I'm sitting there doing nothing, being oh my gosh, I have homework, and also I could go charge my car, or I could make a post, or do my notes,
or I could just go to bed.
Yeah, or take a nap.
Yep. Or just do nothing.
Yeah, it's typically surrounding professional things. I don't feel myself shoulding a lot personally. I think it's more when I'm in the workspace. Yeah. Unless it's with relationships, but we'll get to that later. Yeah. And then in the room, same thing of I should be over this, and trauma, but also grief. Yeah. I've seen it a lot with grief of it's been 5 years. This shouldn't feel this deep. Right. I should be okay by now, kind of thing. Am I not quote unquote over it? Right. Of am I weak kind of thing. I'm no. So yeah, I would say the same ones of in the space. It's a lot of, why is this still impacting me? Yeah. Shouldn't I be over this? Which should and shouldn't, same thing. Yeah. And then with me, it's, I gotta be doing more.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
It's that productivity mindset coming in.
Oh, for sure.
But I think if we're really going to break it down in terms of the meaning, even in a clinical context, I think should can mean a lot of things.
Yeah.
One of them could just be this idea of internalized expectation, which so often are those just like unspoken rules that we carry about what we have to look like or what life has to be like or what it means that this is who we have to be. I think that's a big one, is that just internalized expectation about what it's like to be alive.
Right. Which then plays into the productivity and like your morals from that of morality through productivity of like, am I a good person? Am I doing enough?
Yeah.
Am I presenting enough? Am I like working hard enough? And does that mean that I'm lazy or all the things of we get lazy in rest so overlapped and guys, we're just going to go ahead and say it. Most of the time, it is not laziness. No. I would say 99.9% of the time, it's just simply rest. It's rest. But we're not taught to think that way.
No.
We're taught to think, oh, the more productive that you are, the more that you do, the better. Well, and the better person you are.
Something I've talked about with clients a lot recently is what's the difference between a rest day and a rot day? Because I know when like rot days came up a lot in social media, like I honestly loved it because it encouraged slowing down.
Right.
But again, when I talk to clients now about recharging and resting, I always differentiate, okay, what's resting versus rotting?
Right.
Rotting is when you ignore your biological needs. That is when you're in bed all day and you haven't eaten, or you've been super dehydrated because you're locked in on a show that you're watching, whatever.
Right.
Rest days are truly slowing down, honoring your biological needs, and not adding more onto your plate.
Yeah.
But you're right. Even it's interesting. Yesterday, I had a last minute cancellation, so I had that free hour. I ended up walking 1.5 miles in the office complex. And then I did another 1.5 miles last night when I went home.
Oh, Sarah.
I also lifted early yesterday morning.
Lord have mercy.
And I went to bed feeling like I kind of had a wash of a day.
Yeah, when I walked in yesterday, Sarah literally said, "Is it still raining outside?" I was like,
I want to take a walk.
It is. I was like, why? She's like, well, I was thinking about going for a walk. I said, yeah, probably don't do that.
Yeah.
But
well, in our office complex, it's not big.
No, it is not. So I'm sure you did lots of circles.
I did. Well, and I like wove in and out of the little like parking sections.
There's only so many times you can look at that basketball court.
I picked up trash.
Look at you helping the environment.
And the kids from the school.
Yeah.
But yeah, so these are what our shoulds really kind of mean in like a clinical context and just in terms of its general meaning. But they always activate your threat system. And I feel like people, again, they think of a should as motivation. Right. They're like, oh, I should do this. Awesome. This is going to light a fire under me. I'm going to do awesome. This is going to catapult me towards where I want to be. But all it really does is activate your fight, flight, freeze, fawn response because then you just feel like you're wrong. Yeah. And it's that deficit model of thinking.
Well, and it plays into that self-criticism, that perfectionism, potentially that people pleasing, all of those hitting on this couch right now. And research actually states that like that increases levels of depression, anxiety, chronic stress, burnout, and even like task paralysis of not following through with things because we're putting so much judgment on ourselves that we're not actually supporting something that might be truly hard.
Well, and I think to play devil's advocate here, has there ever been a time where a should actually helped you, but then after the fact, what was the aftermath of it? Like, were there side effects, or was there just like an other side of that where I was like, oh, like this helped me, but yikes, I gotta clean up after this.
Yeah. And I am the absolute, I'll call myself out for this, and this is a true call out of like, I'm the absolute worst of rationalizing my shoulds. Being like, but look what I just did. Like I just showed myself how strong I am and how much I can do. So yes, there's been many a times that my shoulds have pushed me to do better. Mostly in the workplace. Yeah. Of, okay, well, we're going to open a business in 2 months. Which really, I think we finished most of the things in like 2 weeks. Yeah. So we did that. But it helped, and we created a great business and did all the things correctly. Yeah. But I remember getting really sick and being really tired, and also just like looking long term, it's never enough. No. Of when I keep pushing and pushing and pushing, I never celebrate well, we actually did. And so then I'm like, okay, well, we just got to keep going. We got to keep going. This isn't good enough. And then I tie it to my worth. And then I'm like, we can always be doing better. And then I'm never celebrating. And so then it's just like the book that you said that I should read, The Gap and the Gain.
The Gap and the Gain. Highly recommend it. It's actually a great one for the shoulds.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. What about you?
Honestly, so my first thought automatically goes to like caseload management sometimes. It's like, oh, I should take on another client.
Right.
Because of course, like, this is our job.
Right.
It is. And, you know, if we're thinking about from a true business standpoint and a monetary aspect, taking on one more client doesn't make that big of a difference.
Right.
It really doesn't at the end of the day. After we take out, you know, we have a standalone brick and mortar business, our overhead costs are a lot higher than like a virtual therapist.
Yeah.
We follow state and federal regulations.
Yeah.
Don't know if others do. I don't know. We just know us. It's a lot more expenses and taxes and things like that. So I have like I should take on more to get more money and whatever. It doesn't do much in the aftermath, but all I am is tired afterwards.
Right.
But I do think the biggest for me example of when a should worked out was leaving education. Because I remember just like chilling in the classroom thinking, okay, I'm not bad at this. I'm like pretty decent. I'm okay being here. I should want more for myself.
Right.
And like, I should be feeling different. I was just like neutral, complacent, but that's not what I wanted. So I had that should that took me to grad school.
Yeah.
I do think though it bit me in the butt. I didn't really know what I got myself into at all. All I knew is like, I felt like I should do better and I should do more. So I pursued a very there's award-winning degrees with our program. I just had to really take a long look in the mirror and be like, all right, you did this to yourself, like figure it out. I also didn't even know what licensure we were getting.
When you tell this story, I love it every time. You guys not to, toot our own horns, but UGA was top 7 in schools for private practice, community-based counseling, master's programs. And Sarah just showed up in her pink blazer, was just like, we're just gonna do it.
I'm just here because I should do more. That honestly, that was I was living in La La Land, and I missed that a lot.
The days.
It's okay where they come from, and I think that's big because I think that our shoulds come both internally and externally.
Right,
come from a variety of sources.
Yes, they do. So family roles and expectations, what we've heard from childhood, even present, of do our parents should themselves? Was it always the more attitude of the you just got to keep pushing kind of thing, especially for all my sports peeps out there. I know that early on coaching even and the ideas of what it looks like to be mentally tough was very much find your grit, all of those kinds of things. So definitely the family roles, family expectations,
even just culturally. I think about that a lot because obviously I'm in a our premarital counselor called us a cross-cultural marriage and a cross-cultural couple, which I never really think of that when I see my husband and I. But in our actual marriage, I'm very northern, he's very, very southern. And it's interesting what our cultural expectations are in terms of our shoulds. Very, very different. It also does tap into a lot of gender expectations as well. But culture and also just your different identities. It doesn't have to be your location. It's your age, your sexual identity, gender identity, chronic illness, and health status, socioeconomic. It could be so many of these things that have different shoulds attached to it. It's quite exhaustive.
Which then we move into trauma. And adapting to that trauma. We know that with a lot of trauma, there's safety of we're trying to protect ourselves, protect our environment, protect our sanity, honestly.
I should be useful here.
Yes. Or I should, not speak because I got to stay small. I got to, make sure that I'm not taking up a ton of space. Or if I just do everything I should be doing, then no one's going to see me. No one's going to call me out, which we need to stop doing that.
And then our favorite, capitalism. Hustle culture, girl boss culture. Oh, it's the worst. And I do think that it's one of those that I think really directly impacts us because we are in, I mean, it's technically 100% commission-based life.
Yeah.
There's so many shoulds because, again, like we could easily work 12 to 15 hours a day with clients, seeing, I don't even want to put a number out there per week because that's scary to even think about. I mean, those shoulds are just, they don't stop. They don't stop ever.
Yeah. And then with that, like, the wellness culture of, hey, you should be going to the gym. You should be eating really well, really lean. You should be getting, what is it? I told you this the other day with protein. How
it was like
10 grams per, or a gram per.
It's like a gram, like X amount of grams per like pound of body weight.
Yes. Of like, you should be getting such and such amount of protein.
Certain amount of ounces per water, like all these steps per day.
But also you should be working all the time and getting as much rest as you can.
Have a good balanced life.
Right.
Have a social life.
There's 24 hours in the day, you guys. Yeah. Like some days I think that there's 22 hours in the day. And so this idea of like, you should be doing all of this every single day.
Well, I do think that's one of those, like, we also need to like keep ourselves accountable as folks in the therapy and the wellness space. It's because it's so easy for people to take shoulds from us, whether or not we intend on it.
Right.
And I noticed it, especially with like the popularity of like TikTok therapists or Instagram therapists. And it's almost this idea of, if someone is such like a niche or their personality shows in a certain way, a lot of clients actually reply and say, well, should my therapy look like this? Is this what therapy is supposed to be? No, it's not. Yeah. And I think that, again, like as like instruments for healing, or however you want to describe therapists, we are very impressionable, and like we can make a very big impression on folks who are really battling their shoulds. And we got to recognize that the therapy culture and the wellness culture is incredibly toxic with these shoulds a lot of the time.
Yeah. I always try and caveat of, I'll say like, okay, before I say this, we are not going to always do this. Right. This is not going to always line up. We are human. And I felt like that has helped a lot with reducing those shoulds in the space, is just by saying like, we are all human. Yeah. You're going to do this marvelously one time, and then the next time it's going to be like, oh, I totally missed the mark on that one. I didn't even remember that we talked about that. And that's okay. Yeah. Because that happens. It does. Even with me. I say all the time, I'm like, I literally talk about conflict resolution and feelings all the time, and I will find myself popping off sometimes. And like, that's literally my job.
I had that recently. I was talking to someone about window of tolerance and anxiety, and I asked about physical, like what's going on physically, like if we're good on nutrition, if we're good on hydration, because again, like I'm just a very somatic based therapist at the end of the day, and I wanted to make sure like the anxiety wasn't like a blood sugar concern, right? But I asked about caffeine and the uptick of anxiety, and I was like, okay, like maybe we need to be mindful of our caffeine consumption, maybe limit it. I actively had a can of Alani in my hand as I'm talking about caffeine. Right. But it was one of those where like, I'm very grateful that I have really cool clients. We're just really lucky, honestly. Like, I love all of these clients. Yeah. But it was one of those where like, we had the therapeutic relationship where we just kind of paused for a second, and I lifted it up and I said, okay, yeah, we can just call it what it is. Like, I absolutely, we're going to own this. But it's one of those moments where it's like, that could have been a should easily, but we have to use that like immediacy and the interpersonal dynamics to bring that to the forefront. Yeah.
Yeah. I just looked on our table over there, and then on your desk, I was like, where's the Alani can today?
I don't have caffeine with me today.
Only water in the Stanley right now?
I'm caffeine free as of now.
Look at you.
But I have to admit, I chose our networking lunch location
to be around coffee.
If it had coffee. Because I'm tired.
Because you did. I did have a coffee this morning too. I've started using it as a
like a pre-workout.
No, thank goodness. No, that would be a wild time. As a, if you have more than 5 clients in the day, then you have earned yourself a coffee.
Oh dear.
Because I've realized that I cannot drink cold brew. Venti cold brews. Although actually I do great work when I'm on a venti cold brew, the pistachio at Starbucks. Hey Starbucks.
Please send us something.
Yeah. Send us a gift card. We'd love one. But this recognition that should start out, typically they're coming out of survival mode of protection. And so when we look at our shoulds and you give it a voice, what does your should sound like?
I think when I was younger, I would have said that my should sound like somebody else. They don't.
Yeah.
My shoulds as a fully fledged adult, my frontal lobe is very much developed. It has been for several years now. Ew. It's my voice. It is completely my voice.
Yeah.
But I do think though, if I wish I could kind of go back and see what that voice was, because I do think before it would have been a coach. It could have been a parent very often. It also could have been people in the media or like influencers, or those really weren't a thing when we were growing up, but like movie stars, celebrities. Yeah. I even remember like teammates. That was a big one. What about you?
Yeah, it's always been my voice. But the content is not me. My shoulds, they are not the way that I interact with the world.
No.
I was actually thinking on this deeply. I was like, what do they sound like? And instantly I go to Devil Wears Prada.
Miranda Priestly.
Oh. It kind of sounds like that, like very dry of like very much no nonsense of like, yeah, no, you messed up.
It sounds like my delivery.
Yes. Of like the content sounds a lot like how she typically talks to. I forgot what Anne Hathaway, Andy, how she talked to Andy, and then in the same like cadence too of just like very calm. That's of yeah, you messed up. Get out of my office. I hate you. See, you're not going to Paris.
I would love Meryl Streep in my head, but not in that context. But I do think that like at the end of the day, like the shoulds honestly activate. I know we talked about it earlier, but they activate our nervous system so quickly. And I do think that it's one of those where people don't realize it. And again, we are in such an overstimulating world.
Yeah.
I would be interested to see if people tried to tap in with how they're doing to see just how often this is happening, and then also notice the impact on their body.
Yeah. Because we are very resilient beings.
Oh, yeah.
And so we get into this fight or flight response and we can learn to live in it. And I feel like a lot of us are constantly bracing for that, of feeling like, okay, well, I'm having this chronic guilt. Yeah. I'm having, resentment towards myself, towards others, of like, these are common signs that we just learn to kind of like live with instead of like
fatigue. Like when you wake up exhausted and you've already had like the 8 hours of sleep, 9 hours of sleep, and you wake up just feeling like you had 2 hours. It's more of these things. And like, again, your nervous system has not recovered, or even just like feeling a lot like how I did yesterday is I felt behind when I objectively had done a lot. I had seen clients. I had weightlifted in the morning. I had done 2 different walks. Like, I was also doing things for my own life yesterday, working on the podcast. Like, objectively, I had a good day. It was a very full day. Still felt behind. Right. That was one of those where, like, nervous system was not regulated. Cortisol was too high. And the shoulds were shooting themselves.
The shoulds are shooting themselves. And when we do that, y'all, we're taking... Whoa, that was so country. When we do that, y'all. We're taking away that choice, that autonomy of feeling as if like, no, I do have free will in my life, and instead trying to make us into this like one little box. And with that becomes like dysregulation, and we don't feel autonomously us of like, we're not authentically living in the space that we would want to live in and that would be beneficial for us.
Well, I also think that like so often, again, we talked about how the shoulds create pressure. That doesn't mean there's discipline. Yeah. It means you're bullying yourself. And I love the idea. I actually had a friend who like took a random trip up to Niagara Falls recently, and she posted pictures of it, and her caption was "great use of free will" online. And I love that. I know like she wasn't meaning like a deeper psychological meaning, but it reminded me of that when I was like working on this episode too, because I was like, man, like there were no shoulds in her head. It was like, I want to go see Niagara Falls with my spouse. Do it. And it looked so cool. Yeah. Super cold though. All right. But I do think that again, like we mistake pressure for discipline, and discipline's great. I talk to clients about discipline and motivation all the time. Especially with folks who are just like feeling like they're just kind of wandering around with no place to go. Right. But at the same time, if we're really just seeing it as bullying.
Mm-hmm.
We're just frazzling our nervous system, and
Yeah.
we're not doing anything kind for ourselves at the end of the day.
Discipline with judgment is not where we want to go.
Yeah,
we want to go
absolutely.
discipline with support
Mm-hmm.
and understanding and grace.
It just reminds me of athletics.
Oh, for sure. Athletics in school.
Yeah.
Of like, that's when I think back to what that was like
Mm-hmm.
of the young childhood. I think that was my entire life, was just school and athletics. And like,
Yeah.
okay, this is my day. I'm going to go straight from my 7 hours sitting at a desk to then I'm going to train for like 4 hours. And that's discipline.
Yeah.
Because I want to get to
Or
where
even
I want to
like
get.
you should be PRing this race, or like you should have done this, you should have done that,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, oh, okay, it's like,
Sick.
oh, sounds good.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Whereas now I feel like a lot of my shoulds are very much, professionally minded, but then
Mhm.
relationship based.
Yeah.
Of like, I gotta be more present for people.
Mhm.
I got invited to this thing. I should go to it, because
Yeah.
if I don't, then what's gonna
Ugh.
happen? What are they gonna think?
Yeah.
And a lot of times I'm like, oh, I just want to just like lay here.
Mhm.
Honestly, it's really sad to say, but when I was getting over my little sinus infection last weekend,
Yeah.
it was so nice
I
to
love
have
that.
an excuse for why I couldn't go and do things.
Yeah.
Being like, I'm actually sick, so I'm just going to lay here. And it's like, wow, I
Yes.
haven't gotten rest like this in forever.
Mhm. But then it's one of those where it's like you still actually haven't rested.
Yeah.
You've just recovered.
Right.
Ugh. So, okay, the most common shoulds that we see personally and professionally. So, obviously, there's the productivity mindset.
Yeah.
Big one.
Right.
Then there's also like the emotional shutdown of like, I shouldn't feel this way.
Mhm.
The healing should, which
Mhm.
again, we as therapists can contribute to, of like, I should be further along. I should not have this grief or
Right.
trauma. Obviously, the relational piece of like,
Mhm.
oh, I should be more available. I should be a better friend, spouse, whatever.
Yeah.
And then bodies of like, I should just push through, or
Right.
should be X, Y, or Z body capability and capacity.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So all of those really hit,
Yeah.
but with you and
Yeah.
with clients, what do you think hits the most out
I
of
think
those?
with clients, it's obviously a lot of like emotional and healing,
Mhm.
just because of the context where I see them.
Yeah.
But I think that for me, it's a lot of body and relational.
Mm-hmm.
I actually just switched over to Garmin recently. I went from, I think Fitbit was like acquired by Amazon or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. It also was just time. Mine was dying. And so I switched over to Garmin because it just matches all of my different kinds of activity and stuff like that. A little bit more holistic too. And Garmin has a body battery that it gives you.
Yeah.
And it doesn't start at 100 every day. It takes the previous day, takes your sleep quality, and it gives you a 0 to 100 metric of where you start your day at. And then it diminishes during the day. And it actually tells you how your body is feeling stress and how badly your body battery is going to go down. And it can bottom out.
Yeah.
And I was actually talking to a good friend of mine's spouse is a pilot who also wears a Garmin. And I actually spoke with him, and I'm completely showing my butt here. I looked at him and I said, hey, is it normal that your body battery is bottoming out every single day?
Yeah.
So it bottoms out at 5%. Because like lower than 5, it's like, where's your nervous system?
Yeah.
And he looked at me, he said, no. He goes, I end my day at like 10 to 20. And he said, well, how early are you bottoming out? I said, oh, like 2, 3 o'clock. He's like,
midday.
So, midday.
Yeah.
And that was a huge check-in for me because I realized how badly my shoulds had taken me astray.
Yeah.
So it's just like a good, I don't know, biometric way of checking in and seeing how badly those shoulds impacted the body's capacity. What about you?
Yeah, like before, mine's very much productivity based, of course. But then the relational of like, I gotta make sure I'm showing up for all of my people.
Right.
And so with that, I should be more available. I gotta make sure that I'm present in all the things. Or even like when they come and they're like, this really crazy thing happened. My friends have been doing an amazing job of checking in before they go into deep dives on life. They're like, do you have the capacity to hear this right now? And I was like, thank you for asking. Yes, of course. Which is not always an accurate and authentic response, but I definitely should myself of like, I got to be present for my people. And then for clients, definitely the healing aspect of it. And, I know we talked a lot about like productivity and leaning in and doing all of these things, but not shoulding your shoulds of if you're listening to this and you're like, well, I'm the opposite
Right.
of like, I run away and I kind of avoid of that happens too of when we do feel those super strong shoulds, the amount of shame and judgment with that can be a lot. And so we hit that flee response of, okay, well, I'm just going to leave it. I'm just going to not.
Like, here's that all or nothing thinking coming in again. It was like, well, if I can't have a should, I'm just going to avoid and I'm going to run away. But we can't operate in a black or white, all or nothing mentality, because that's just as harmful for us too. And it's not, so bringing these to awareness isn't about like judging or prompting avoidance. It's a lot of kind of replacement and just modifying. So it's replacing should with things like want or need or choose. And again, we're putting autonomy and choice back into our headspace again.
Yeah. And I love it. I actually used this with a client and it hit so nice. I was like, whoa, okay. Of like swapping that should word with I want to do this. And then saying that sentence again with the want or with like to or need, and then reassessing, is that actually something that I'm truly wanting? Is this something that someone is telling me I should want? Is this society leading me to believe that this is the way it should be? Or is it just shame-based?
Absolutely.
And being able to like actually sit authentically with that statement and say like, is this actually for me or for something else?
Well, and I think that like if you ever want to kind of tap into like a gratitude based mindset too, I do this with fitness a lot because I love embracing movement. Not because I need to or I should to, but I just genuinely like want to, and it brings me joy. Yeah. I did it in the gym the other day. I wanted to like go up in weights and like work on progressive overload, whatever. And I was like doubting myself. And so I went from like, I need to do this to I get to do this. And I was like, I get to go up in weights today. Yeah. And it honestly like shifted the whole trajectory of that workout. So again, it's not avoiding it. I'm 100% stepping up to the plate. I ended up going back down in weights because I was like, I need to be able to function later and not get rhabdo. Yeah. Again, I pushed too hard with certain things. I think we made that clear. Yes. But I think it's that replacement of like the shoulds to things like the wants, the needs, the get tos. It's so powerful. And even just like thinking about it, it's never too small. Yeah. It can be things from like, I should go do X, Y, and Z after work. It's like, well, do I want to? Do I need to? And do I get to? Right. Yeah. And it's just checking in of like, okay, is this statement, is this fear-based? Yeah. Of what's going to happen if I don't? Or does this truly feel like a value to you? Does it feel like something that is centering? Or is it something that's bringing on that stress or feels, unbalanced for you? And just kind of like more checking in, not judging yourself based off of the like present you right now of like some days, heck yeah, let's go do the go higher on the weights. Other days it's like, I'm just feeling a little bit off and I got a little tinge right here. I'm just not gonna exercise. Yeah, well, that too, but of like take a rest day. Right. I know. Yeah, that's today. Today's a rest day. It is. Look at you, and you're giving yourself coffee on your rest day. I know. Lovely. We practice what we preach here. Yeah, we're trying to. But just really checking in with, is this truly a me thing or is this an outside of me thing? Absolutely. Well, and also just reminding yourself that if you need that check-in is when your motivation is rooted in your values, it will always feel regulating. Always. It will feel like you're in alignment. This feels like you. It feels invigorating. But when motivation is rooted in shame, it is depleting you. Yeah. It feels like you have this like siphon or this parasite attached to you. And that can really give you that check-in of like, am I invigorated by this or am I just drained? Am I depleted? That will give you a lot of perspective potentially about where your motivation is coming from, whether it is the values or the shame or the shoulds, things like that, or if it's even yours. Yeah. And remembering that like the whole point in this is shifting that should. I'm gonna have to like put on our little podcast thing. These are not curse words, right? But I can tell like we have some young ears if they're hearing this. Shifting our shoulds from this feeling of pressure to like choice of you have a choice, and really grounding and understanding that like you get to have a little bit of control over your life. Actually, a lot of bit of control over your life. There are some things that are outside of our control. So managing those, but of like, this is a tough practice, you guys. So this is so hard. It is so ingrained in us. And so giving yourself the space to be able to say like, oh, okay,
we're just checking in with that. I'm still going to operate in this way because, you know, I'm worried about what this might look like right now.
Of course.
But checking in afterwards and really being like, okay, how was that? How was that for me? What's a small shift that I could do in order to put this more aligned with who I am and more authentic? So when we're thinking about that, and we're moving into, okay, so the what now? What does this look like? You guys have talked for 45 minutes about this. So how do we actually implement it into practice? We've given the swapping. So swap your should to want to, need to, would like to, and readdress that. But I want you to think of a should in your life. Yeah. Really process.
And it doesn't even have to be major. It doesn't have to be this like huge thing.
I should do my laundry today. Yeah.
Or like I should go up and get some extra water or whatever.
I should be taking my vitamins.
Yeah.
If you got the chewy ones, then definitely, because they taste so delicious.
Hopefully they don't freeze us.
Yeah. But then sitting and noticing like what happens in your body. We love a good body scan of starting at the very tippy top of your head, going all the way down and noticing those changes.
Yeah. When you hear like should and when you think about should, where is the tension? Is it there? Where is it? Does it have a voice? What's it saying?
Yeah. And then replacing it of either I get to or I'm choosing to because, or if you're recognizing, okay, this is not for me, then let's redirect that.
Don't force it.
Yeah. Oh, don't force it. And then redirect of like, what is for you? What would that look like?
Yep. And then even just kind of checking in of what changes when all of a sudden this obligation then became a choice. When you shifted your should to a get to, did you realize I actually am avoiding my vitamins because they upset my stomach? Hey, maybe that isn't for us. Maybe we need to pivot a little bit. Maybe it's like, oh, like I'm feeling depleted, which has made me less motivated to go complete daily tasks. It's a much bigger concern. Or is it like, oh yeah, like I do deserve to feel like I'm in control of my health and I enjoy how I feel when I'm consistent with my vitamins. Like, let me just go do that and knock it out really fast.
Yeah.
And just see what that's like.
Yeah. And just checking in, guys, of like some of these shoulds are not for us.
No.
They are ones that are brought to us by society, from what we've heard, from what, you know, the shame is telling us about ourselves, maybe that we're even fearful of checking in with that and recognizing there's a need there that we need met, but that it shouldn't be based in shame and judgment.
We just live in a world that encourages shoulds so much. And so we really do hope that like when we bring these things up, it can be overwhelming to think about the amount of shoulds that we have and the amount of shoulds that are being put on us. But just remember that like changing these things and pivoting these things, like we've said time and time and again, like it can be small. Like you are going against a lot of other forces. And the small ones really do add up and they matter. And even if it's just one, like that's great too.
Yeah. And, you know, before, like we said, some are not for us. Some are. Of like some of our shoulds, okay, those are things that we do want to actually do. Yeah. And so maybe just switching that word from should to get to, or I would like to.
Yeah.
Or, you know, when possible, when I am ready. I want to do this.
Like I should be doing an extra load of laundry today in case we have power outages.
Right.
Do I actually want to do? I really don't, but I get to do that. I'm in a place where like I have electricity. I have laundry units in my home. Like I'm able to help provide that for my family. And it's that should doesn't carry immense weight. It's just one that I'm okay living by, for example.
Love that. Values-based living, you guys.
It's a good one.
We love values-based living, of just checking in with who you are. As long as you are not hurting anyone, then the values are great.
Yourself.
Yeah, or yourself.
Speaking of, Couch Combos is not a substitute for therapy by any means. But if you do find yourself in a place of emergency, whether you're feeling like you're a harm to yourself, other people, etc., go to the closest emergency room, call 911, 988. There are people there who are happy to help you.
Yes. So thanks for sticking with us and just, you know, checking in. Am I shoulding myself in public? Am I shoulding myself in private?
I should my pants.
Of like check in with those shoulds. And remember that you do have free will and you are an amazing human regardless of what society is telling you should be doing. Because capitalism, I did all of our buzzwords in there. I'm like, how many, and body scan. Also, label it. Name it to David.
Well, if you want to hear more of our nonsensory, feel free to catch up with us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, all Soul Haven Counseling, Couch Combos the Pod. If you want to work with us, feel free, reach out at www.soulhavengeorgia.com. Again, you have to be a resident of the state of Georgia, in person or virtually, but we're happy to chat with you.
Yeah. And we'll see you next time. Everyone stay safe in the snowmageddon, the destructive snow.